Koto katoa. I've been practicing that before we started this episode. Welcome back to another episode of Back of a Link. This is episode. This is episode 11. We are really flying here with Marc, as always, and with the Renee. We're with Renee. How are you? How you doing, Renee?
Oh my goodness. Not even a few seconds in and I'm already being attacked. I'm doing really well, Marc. Welcome along to the episode, all our listeners. Yes, episode 11, as you say.
It is. How was your interesting week?
Oh, Marc. You know, I usually love to start these on a really high, excited note, but I think I'm going to have to get serious for a minute.
I know you need to get serious for a minute because I'm just going to let you take the floor, actually, and just explain why you feel the need to get serious.
Marc, I need to issue an apology to Logan Van Beek, Adam Milne, and Lockie Ferguson for my very creepy actions towards them over the past week. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That sounds generally heartfelt, to be fair. Tell us more. Why do you need to issue an apology?
We'll start with Logan Van Beek. Now, we were at the Outer Oval at Eden Park, and if you know the Outer Oval, you basically sit a few metres away from the sideline. So Logan Van Beek had been fielding slightly to the right of where we were sitting, and we'd had a few ciders from the lovely cidery that was on offer. And then I was talking to our new cricket friend Steph, and then I looked ahead and had moved to the left and was directly in front of me, and my brain just malfunctioned and my mouth said, "Oh, hello, Logan."
Oh, Christ.
And he turned around, looked straight at me, gave me a weird half smile, and realized that he didn't actually know me at all. Turned back around. Steph is like lying on the ground laughing, and I'm so like, oh my god, embarrassed that I just did this. And then but in my defence, he went and took a catch a few balls later, so I couldn't have creeped him out too much.
Or you creeped him out enough that he had to take the catch so he didn't have to feel a fine leg any longer or deep backward square. I am really disappointed that I missed this because I was doing a bar run at the time and came back to hear this tale and was instantly disappointed that my alcoholism took over the banter on the sideline.
The reason I was like, oh, Logan, was because in my head I thought, oh, I'll get a video of him for the Instagram reels that we've got going on that are going really well. I thought, oh, our listeners would like to see that Logan Van Beek was directly in front of us. But my brain just didn't even fire. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Your brain Logan, vomited through your mouth by the sounds of it.
It did. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Logan.
Okay, apology 1. Let's move on to apology number 2. Who are we going with, Lockie Ferguson or Adam Milne?
No, but we'll go to Adam Milne. Now, this was game 2 of the week that we went to. We were at the Eden Park main stadium. However, we were lucky to be still quite close, and they were fielding down on the boundary line, so they could hear us. Now, in my defence, there was a guy next to me who was a drunken English idiot called Marc, who
really
also hosts this podcast.
When was this?
Who yelled out to Adam Milne. He yells out, "Adam, she thinks you're really hot."
What part of, well, I know that this definitely couldn't have been me then, because I don't know what part of England that Marc, who is also apparently an alcoholic, is from. That was the worst impression I've ever heard in my life.
I don't know how to be English, but that is what you yelled out, and then I did not disagree, and then it sort of there was a bit more yelling. So Adam Milne, I'm sorry. Thank you for taking a photo with me after the game. And then his mum, I believe it was his mum, said, "You're wearing the wrong shirt," and I was just too embarrassed by all this to sort of have a bit of banter, so I ran away. Yeah,
that sounds like you to a T, to be honest. I reckon. Getting a little bit awkward, a little bit scared, and being like, run away. And Lockie. So I was there for the whole Lockie episode, I believe. And I don't actually know why you've issued an apology, so maybe it was after I walked away.
It was not. What happened is, Lockie Ferguson obviously is an incredibly popular cricket player, so a lot of kids were trying to get his signature after the game. And
Renee was punching them all out the way.
I was not doing that at all. But obviously we are basically still children ourselves, even though we're older. So we walked up to try and get a photo with Lockie Ferguson because we love Lockie Ferguson. And
some of us more than others by the sounds of it.
Shut up. They were standing quite close to sort of the entryway back up to the changing rooms, I believe. So Lockie goes, oh, if... Sorry, Lockie goes.
Christ. Can you do an impression of Lockie Ferguson by chance? Do your best Lockie impression.
So Lockie goes, okay, kids.
What? Oh, God. Don't do a Lockie impression, sorry.
Follow me, kids. And my brain, again, malfunctioned and went, that's right, we're all following Lockie.
I remember that one.
Looks at me and he goes, what? And I was like, what have I done?
Yeah, I do remember that bit, and I walked away quicker than you walked away, thankfully. I was disassociating myself with the creep stood next to me.
Lockie Ferguson was still kind enough to take a photo with us. Although I have noticed, Mark, if you look at the photo, he's got both his arms like firmly in front of him. Not even like...
Yeah, he's nowhere near us. He could not wait to get. He couldn't wait to get out of there.
There was like a gap. Yeah. So, in conclusion, Logan Van Beek, I'm sorry. Adam Milne, I'm sorry. Lockie Ferguson, I'm sorry.
You guys can't see this because this is a podcast, but before each apology, she looked at her phone as if to remember what she was trying to say, and all she was trying to say was, I'm sorry. So I wonder if this is actually scripted and it isn't heartfelt.
It is so heartfelt, but I do want to conclude by saying that I probably won't change.
No, you just do you and get more restraining orders. I think you're going to set a world record for most restraining orders, and I love it, and hopefully our listeners love it as well. So just quickly, if you have any recommendations on who I should creep out next, just get in touch with me. Yeah.
Might go for Jimmy Neesham.
That would be interesting, because I reckon he'd have good banter, so you need to do that on social media so the world can see.
Yes, it's not as creepy on social media, though.
It's not, but at least I've got company in terms of who can see what you're actually doing, because at the moment I feel like it's hard to describe from my perspective because it's just such outrageous behaviour.
It is. I need to rein it in. Okay. We'll save any more apologies for next week because I imagine there will probably be one. Huge week of actual cricket actually on the field though, Mark.
Yep, we'll get right into that in just a second with our usual sweep.
Let's take a look at what is happening in the cricket world with our sweep. Wow, very sad news. The New Zealand-Australia short form series postponed due to a lack of MIQ spaces for the Black Caps on return. Very disappointed.
Yep. I think we said at the game, was it the Thursday game or the Saturday game? No, I'm not overly disappointed with how it's kind of turned out because I just don't think that, especially for a short form series like this, that players, because they play international sports, should get a free pass with MIQ or get preferential spaces when there's so many people around the world trying to get back to New Zealand, which is the most political statement I will make on this podcast. I don't mean it to be a political statement, but it does tie into the reason why that was postponed.
Yeah. I believe that postponement came because when it was organised, New Zealand Cricket probably believed either there would be a travel bubble or New Zealanders would be able to isolate at home. Both of those are not an option with Omicron in the community. So yes, it has been postponed. Does mean that both the Big Bash and the SuperSmash will continue to have its star players as they wrap up this week. More on that a little bit later.
Yeah, games that are going on at the moment. England are back, and they still suck.
Are they? Yes, doesn't matter where they play.
Suck. Their T20 team is in action at the moment against West Indies across a 5-game T20 series. The first game could not have gone worse. Can't even say that it's an Ashes hangover because only one of the players playing in that team played in an Ashes game, and it was Sam Billings, who played for 5 minutes. So, yeah, they looked really good in the warm-up games, England, to be honest. I just don't know what happened. I think was listening to Jason Roy yesterday on the on field mic, and they asked sort of where it went wrong, and he was saying that basically the pitches that they played on in practice were rock hard. Ball was coming through really nicely, and it was completely different to the pitch that they came out on. I think it was Saturday, New Zealand time was the first game. But yeah, England basically were bowled out for 103. Nobody really did too much. The common theme of the innings was that a batsman would hit a 6 and get out next ball, which is pretty frustrating when that happens 4 times in an innings. West Indies won by 9 wickets. Really good bowling display from the West Indies, to be fair. It was a performance of the West Indies that you kind of wish you'd have seen during the T20 World Cup, because you know what they can do. And then the second game, we saw the West Indies that we saw in the World Cup very inconsistent. England went on to make 171 for 8 off 20 overs, and at one point England were winning in an absolute canter. I think the West Indies were about 90 odd for 6, and then ended up losing by only 1 run because Shepherd absolutely smoked it.
About 4 sixes in that final over he did. England should have cantered home. I don't think the West Indies were ever going to win it, but they should not have gotten that close. No, they should have got nowhere near, but they did, and it probably get them a lot of confidence going into the next game. And good to see. Obviously, you want their top order, their middle order to make all the runs, but good to see that they do have strength and depth in the batting / bowling department with guys like Shepherd, and I think Fabian Allen scored a few runs there at the bottom of the order as well. So yeah, so nice to see that.
Promising signs.
Say there will be another 3 games in that series, so we'll bring you the updates on that one next week. Now, I don't want to keep saying the word Ashes because it's Mark's least favourite word, but the women's Ashes are on. They're starting with a Ashes T20 series, if you can call it that. Yeah,
so the Women's Ashes series, or the Washes as it has been called on Twitter, is formatted slightly differently. So they play a few T20s, a couple of ODIs, and either 1 or 2 tests, and then you get points for each victory, and whichever team has the most points at the end of the game. So the most points are awarded for the test win, second most points awarded for a 50 over win, and the least amount of points awarded for a T20 win, purely on the basis that obviously there's more T20 games and less test matches. So that's why every game in that series is important and counts towards the overall Ashes.
Yeah, correct. So the English women doing slightly better than the men, if you can say that. They did lose their they did lose their opening T20 by 9 wickets, but I thought performances looked pretty good. Danny White, 70. Australia, wow, they are one of the best women's teams in the world. Talia McGrath, 3 wickets and 91 runs. Fortunately, second and third T20s rained out.
Yeah, it's a shame they were rained out because England, as you say, they just looked better than anything that the England men had been able to produce during the whole of the Ashes series. They had the highest opening partnership in one T20 than the England men's team did across the whole of the 5 test series. So definitely a lot of positives to take out of that game. Unfortunately, it was just the Talia McGrath show in the first T20. She was on fire, 3 wickets and then 91, as you say. So basically, get her out and we will still have a lot of good batsmen to come in because Australia are stacked.
Absolutely stacked, though that tournament, of course, preludes the Women's ODI World Cup. We'll see that here later. Can't wait for those women to come over and see what we've got. All right, let's move on. South Africa playing India in an ODI series. What a surprise this series turned into. South Africa clean sweeping the series.
Yeah, everyone expecting India would bounce back after the test series, in which I think South Africa won that one 2-1. But yeah, South Africa just carrying on with their good form, putting in good performances across the boards. And we said it in the last episode and probably the episode before as well, New Zealand really do have a series on their hands when South Africa do join our shores. Good that they were obviously good in their own conditions. Good batting surfaces there for South Africa. Old mate Quinton de Kock, who I think has now played his last series for South Africa, going out with a bang.
My understanding is he would continue to play in the short form series, although Quinton de Kock is a bit, I don't know, what would you say he is?
It's a bit pragmatic. You never really know whether he will continue to play or whether he is just standing out from tests. I am not sure, I'll be honest. Maybe it is just tests, actually, just thinking about it. But I thought he'd retired from international duty to spend more time with his family. But he does just seem too young to retire from cricket in general.
Yeah.
So...
124 in his last match, so we are hoping he will still be playing international cricket in some form, of course, with both the T20 World Cup this year and an ODI Cup next year. I think South Africa need his experience in the team. Even though they had a number of other good performances, he's such a cementer in that either an opening or in that third place position. Meanwhile, Punt, captaining the Indian side for the first time. You don't want to go out with a series loss in your first as captain, but he will.
Yeah, I think he captains his IPL team. So, I mean, that Indian team, you look at it, they're stacked with captaincy options, despite the fact that we said that the test team isn't necessarily blessed with captain candidates, but their ODI team definitely is. You've got, Rohit Sharma who can do it, Pant who can do it, KL Rahul can do it, you've got Ajinkya Rahane who can do it as well. So just names that just slip off the tongue that are able to do that. Back to the drawing board for them. They have lost this series. They didn't perform particularly well in the T20 World Cup, so definitely a bit of a change for them, and we'll just have to see how they go coming up. I think they've got Australia in their home conditions coming up over the course of the next few months, so it'll be good to see how they go with that.
Yeah, I mean, we played India at home, New Zealand India at home, and they were quite dominant. So we just want to see them really playing a bit better outside of their own country. All right, let's head across the ditch to the Big Bash. That is wrapping up this week. All the talk for a few days was Glenn Maxwell, 154 of 64 in his 100th match. One of the greatest innings.
Yeah, for the Big Bash, you'd have to say the greatest innings. It's the highest score achieved by anybody in a Big Bash. I did like the interview after the game because they had Glenn Maxwell and Marc and the interviewer said, have you ever seen anything like that performance? And Marc said, yeah, I just have to watch a video of the time that I did it the last time, because he also last season put in an amazing performance doing something similar. So I thought that was quite funny. But yeah, just unfortunately for the Stars, coming a little bit too late, as they had already been eliminated out of the tournament, but good to go out with, putting on a good show. They played the Hurricanes actually, and yeah, obviously when you've got somebody scoring 154 off 64 balls, you're going to post a big score. They posted about 250 odd, I think, off 20 overs, which was never going to be chaseable. And then the Hurricanes did go through. Unfortunately, they lost to the Strikers, and they went out. And but anyway, hey,
I think that's your team that's now knocked out of the Big Bash.
It is my team that's knocked out of the Big Bash, which came a couple of games after your team got knocked out of the Big Bash. So, I'll take the high road on that one. At least we made it through to the eliminators.
Well, I don't think that's taking the high road. But yes, as you say, right, the Strikers winning the first eliminator. I do get a little bit confused about how the Big Bash works, but I'll try talk through it. So the Scorchers won the auto qualifier, so they are through to this Sunday's final. Now the Strikers beat the Thunder recently to join in what is called the final challenger. So they will play the Sixers this weekend. Whoever wins out of the Strikers and Sixers will meet the Scorchers in the final. That's my understanding.
Yeah, I think the IPL does it similarly. So the top two teams play each other, and whoever wins that goes straight through to the grand final. The third and fourth place teams play each other, and then whoever wins that plays the team that loses from the top two, and then the winner of that goes through to the final. So yeah, pretty similar to the IPL setup. I've really enjoyed the Big Bash this year. For me, it is my favourite sort of international T20 tournament. I just think the pitches are better. It's just that there's a little bit more glamour. Whereas, yeah, some of the games in the IPL, which, we will touch on towards the end of the series, because I think that starts in March, pitches start off okay and then get a little bit slower and the scores get a little bit lower and players struggle to perform, whereas the Big Bash is consistent all the way through in terms of, just big hits. And, I just really enjoy it. So, my money, and I'm really bad at making predictions, as are you, as is this podcast in general, but I do back the Scorchers to win the final. They've just been unbelievable all the way through. Hopefully Colin Munro can put on a performance in the final.
I would also back the Scorchers in that final. Back to the semi-final of the Challenger, Strikers or Thunder?
That's a tough one, because the Strikers, you alluded to it last week, the Strikers seem to have come from nowhere. They're in some really, really good form. But I think the Thunder, for me, will take it. I think Alex...
No, it is the Strikers playing the Sixers.
Oh, playing the Sixers. Oh, the Thunder definitely won't take it then. That is a tough one to... I know, there is so many teams. It's a tough one to call. I'm going to go with the Sixers.
I'm going to go with the Strikers, and I'm always going to go with the Strikers, because I feel a lot like I would never back a Sydney team. Not my friend James. So I'm going to back the Strikers to join the Scorchers in the final.
I reckon... I think if the Sixers beat the Strikers, then you should commit to running 1,500 kilometres before the end of 2022.
Absolutely not.
Damn it. I was trying to level peg you with the bet that we made the other day after the cricket.
You made a horrible bet.
So, let me just set the scene here. We'd had a few drinks and we went to the pub after the game to have a few more drinks, and I was basically taken advantage of in terms of not being able to think clearly. In terms of not being able to think clearly, I will just point out. So you bet me, I can't even remember how it started, but basically you bet me to try and run 2,022 kilometres in 2022. So far, on the 25th of January 2022, I have run 3 kilometres. So it's obviously going very well. So we met down the middle of, because I've signed up to a 1,000 kilometre challenge. So we met down the middle and said, okay, we'll do 1,500 kilometres. And if I do it, then you have to buy me a test match pass for a test match of my choice next summer. And if I don't do it, which won't happen, I will have to buy you a test match pass.
I believe it was to England.
Well, we don't know. It depends when England tour. So we'll have to see. Yeah, when England tour.
I mean, I'm just saying I'm not buying you one to like a test match pass to Lords, because I don't have.
Oh no, it'd be in New Zealand. Yeah, it'd definitely be in New Zealand. Yeah, because nobody can afford a test match pass to Lords. That is ridiculous. But anyway, that was the bet. It was ridiculous, and I fully regret it. And we're going to quickly move on and round up the Super Smash. But that was a roundup of the week's cricket. Still a couple of series going on there with the England's Women Ashes, England T20 series, and the Big Bash to finish up as well during the course of the week. So we'll bring you a wrap up of those in next week's sweep.
Alright, it's time for the Super Smash wrap up of the week. Did you like it?
I think Spark Sport will be picking up on that next year. I reckon that'll be the introduction song.
Smash, Super Smash.
Can't wait for you to write some lyrics.
On and off the field. It was a huge week. 6 games for the men, 6 games for the women's. Right. Now, the Aces and Firebirds, as we alluded to, the Firebirds blatantly the superior team, so took that win pretty easily. We won't go back any further into what happened off the field in that game. Right, on to the next spot. The Brave playing the Kings Friday. They secured a top spot and the home final. The Brave looking absolutely dominant. Thought the Kings might get up there for a second, but they did not. Right. Yeah, that's
they did not.
Right,
yeah.
Then they did not. Then we went to Eden Park on Saturday. Great to be back inside the main oval. That was in support of our essential workers. I thought we might have some issues because the Eden Park is huge, but actually a really good atmosphere. Now the Hearts played at the Hines. A great win by the Hearts. The women, I really loved playing the women seeing the women play in the main oval, thought they looked really at home. Thought that possibly that's somewhere they should keep playing. And a nice win by the Hearts there.
Yeah, I agree. They did look pretty good, pretty comfortable. Just wonder if they did play every game at sort of main Eden Park, whether they would get the support that they actually deserve. When you see some of the support that the men's team have got this year and the performances they've been putting in compared to how extraordinarily well the women's team have done, the women's team have outperformed the men's team quite considerably. So next year, get behind the women as well as the men, please.
Definitely. Yeah, after that game, the Aces played the Stags. The Aces probably should have chased down that total. They didn't. It was a bit of a disappointing way for me for the Aces to finish their tournament. Just haven't really looked like a really good team. The Stags were helped by Will Young being back in the team. Aegis Patel was playing, and of course Adam Milne.
Yeah, your friend. Yeah, it was a weird first innings. The Stags got off to an absolute rocket. They were going on about 10 and over, and at one point, we were saying to each other it might be chasing sort of 220, 230. The Aces did well to keep the Stags down to around 170, I think, in the end, 176 from memory. So you're thinking, do you know what? Bowled really well. They're really in this, and then just never got going.
We will do a big wrap of the Super Smash next week to talk through performances. But yeah, with George Work and Marc Chapman not getting going. Brilliant Phillips did put in a good knock, but unfortunately that game going the Stags' way. All right, next day it just keeps going. Right, Sparks playing the Magicians. Sparks winning that game, removing any chance of the Magicians making the finals. Susie Bates another 55. She is on fire. Right.
Yeah, some good form coming into the Women's World Cup, thankfully, from a New Zealand perspective.
Absolutely, she definitely should make that team. Probably will be one of the standout performances. Later, the Bolts took on the Kings. The Bolts winning that game. Thought the Kings winning.
Kings winning that game. Yeah.
Kings did win that game. Thought the Bolts might be able to take that one. They were in with a shout for basically the Kings bowlers. Away from Bolts only having one win this season.
Which came against the Kings earlier in the season, funnily enough.
It was. So the Kings have secured second place on the table. That was important for them to win because on the off chance it rains in the final, the Kings will go straight through to the actual final. If it rains, the elimination final. It's very hard to keep up with all these games. Right. Then the next day, the final round robin, the Blaze taking on the Brave women. Absolutely dominant from the Blaze, going 10 from 10 straight into the final. They're incredible. Then the Firebirds ending the round robin. Brave winning that despite a fast start by Wellington. Finn Allen with 64. God, he loved the basin. And Bracewell with 63. Brave, good through the middle of the batting innings with Santner scoring a 59 and putting a ball straight through the Cricket Museum window.
Which he's going to have to pay for, by all accounts, he reckons.
He does. Worst of all, well, they couldn't retrieve the ball because the Cricket Museum was all locked up.
It was, yeah. We went into alert level red, so that would have been locked up from Sunday night onwards, so there was no crowds, unfortunately, for the game yesterday, and nobody to retrieve the ball from the Cricket Museum. I watched most of that game last night. Brave got off to a... they didn't get off to a good start. Firebirds, Finn Allen came out and was absolutely smoking it everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah, that was quite a surprise. Champot was going about 14s, I think, off his first 2 overs. And then they came back really well with the ball, the Brave. Once Finn Allen and Bracewell got out, I think other players struggled to really get in. But it's one of those in a T20 game, when your team gets you off to a really good start, you just feel like you keep going, and sometimes it can take an over or two just to get used to the wicket. Then vice versa really for the Brave. The Brave got off to a relatively difficult start. Tim Seifert batted pretty well, and then when he fell, they were 50 odd for 3 at the end of the power play, and just kept losing a couple of wickets. But then Santner thankfully was able to put on a bit of a partnership and top scored with 59 balls off around about 59 runs off around about 37 balls, which I didn't know he had it in him, I'll be honest.
No, it was great to see that performance performance from Satner, because he has been a bit out of form recently. Sort of tends to hang around the 20s, so yeah, I was really pleased to see that. And it was one of those innings where you were like, oh yeah, he's on 15, now he's on 28, now he's on 36, and then suddenly he was on 59 and pretty much winning it for the Brave. So this week we go into the finals. Luckily they are a little bit easier to understand than the Big Bash finals. There is an eliminator final on Thursday at University Oval in Dunedin. Now first up, the Kings will play the Firebirds. The men's game will be the first game of the finals matchup.
Yeah.
Now thinking about who will win this one, for me, the Firebirds have to hold their middle batting order together. They're coming through with this like single digit runs through there if Allen or Bracewell don't get going. They have got all their best players back, Conway, Blundell, Nish and Ravindra. None of them playing particularly well in their last game, so it really is up to their middle batting order to hold things together. The Kings are looking very good with the ball. Ed Nuttall, Henry Shipley, Matt Henry will be playing.
Yeah.
So if their bowlers are on form, the Firebirds could be in trouble. And if Tom Latham is on form, who has been playing incredibly well in the T20 series lately, I think I would back the Kings.
I'm going to back the Firebirds.
Ooh.
Funnily enough, I know. I just feel as though their middle order is due. But you're right, Kings have got a really strong bowling lineup. So if the Firebirds middle order and top order, to be fair, you've still got to make the runs at the top of the order in order to give yourself a platform for the middle order. If their batting order fires, then I think that they've got more in their batting order than the Kings do with their batting order. And the Firebirds haven't got the worst bowling lineup in the world. They've got the likes of Nishan, they've got Sears, Hamish Bennett if he's back from injury. I think he was injured. So they've got a decent bowling lineup as well that will be able to defend a total or keep a total down if they can bowl well. But yeah, I think it all hinges on the Firebirds batting lineup and how well they fire as a collective.
So we'll wait and see on that one. Later that day, the Sparks will play the Hearts. As lovely as it is to see the Hearts make an eliminator, you absolutely have to back the Sparks on this one. They're playing at home. Susie Bates is playing well. Kenny Martin's playing well. I think they are the team to go through.
Yeah, I would agree. My heart says the Hearts. Pun. My head says the Sparks. So be interesting to see, but hopefully, cricket is a game of upsets every now and then. New Zealand upset England in the T20 World Cup semi-final, so it can happen. I just wanted to see your face on that.
I think that was just an out-and-out win there, Mark.
Just for that, no, disagree. 1 over lost us the game, but anyway, I'd love to see the Hearts win because I think that the Sparks and the I've forgotten the other team now. Not the Magicians. Who's the other team at the top?
The Blaze.
Blaze, that's the one. Yeah, I always get mixed up between the Blaze and the Firebirds because every other team is they're pretty similar in terms of their names. The Firebirds and the Blaze are two different, but yeah, the Blaze are obviously 10 from 10. You expect that they're in the final, and they are. It would be nice to see the Hearts go through just on the back of they had a difficult start with obviously missing 2 or 3 games pretty quickly, but they've made it up. They've got a relatively young team as well, so it'd be nice to see those youngsters having the experience of making a final because that will only serve the White Ferns well going forward as well. So yeah, we'll see.
We will see. So on Saturday, the finals of the Super Smash. Oh, it's bittersweet because I love the Super Smash so much. So the Blaze will play the winner. I would probably back the Blaze, Divine, both Kerr sisters, and Tamsin Newton, all in great form. That game will be played in the early afternoon. Then the Brave men will play the winner of the men's elimination final. They have all the stars. Bolt, Southey, Satner, Sodhi, Seifert are all playing, and they're playing at home at Seddon Park. Or can it get better than that?
Yeah, it'll be a tough ask for anybody who does go there. They've also got Courtney Clark, who has missed a decent amount of this season, but I really like the look of him. I think he's an aggressive player at the top of the order. Very similar to Finn Allen. If he gets going, he would be hard to stop. Yeah, I guess it comes down, again, if the Firebirds make it, I think the Firebirds have got a team that could win the game on the day. I would back them to beat the Brave more than I would back the Kings, personally.
Personally, that's not a bad shout. I mean, Finn Allen has a few demons at Eden Park. It is where he got bowled first ball on his New Zealand cricket debut.
Oh, yes.
He might put that behind him now, though. That was a bit of a mishap. Yeah, I think I would back the Brave in the final. I think Jeet Ravella's done an incredible job with captaining the team, and I think, you know, last year I was watching this and I thought, SuperSmash, the Firebirds are such a cohesive unit, and this year I think the Brave are that cohesive unit, and they've really worked with bringing in the Black Caps when they are available, whereas I think the Firebirds have struggled with whose role is what. So I think I'd back the Brave and the Blaze to win, but I'm not going to be surprised with an upset.
Yeah, I just think, I mean, you alluded to it before, the bowling lineup for the Brave, when you've got Bolt, Southey, Santana, Sodhi, when you've got a bowling lineup like that, you know, it's hard to see past any team being able to put on a decent total against that lineup, although the Firebirds did a pretty decent job of it in their home conditions over the weekend. So yeah, be interesting to see who does what. You said the Brave are definitely favourites if you were to bet in man or woman, but again, it's a game of upsets, and anybody can turn up on the day and have a good game. People can turn up on the day and have a not so good game. So all to play for. I think it'll be a pretty close one either way.
I think so too. So unfortunately, no crowds allowed at those games, as far as we know, being an alert level setting red. But all the action is on Spark Sport, and all the action will be on our Twitter feed, because I will be going full guns. We are over there at Back of a Link with a little underscore. Next week we will do a huge wrap of the Super Smash. We'll go through team by team. We'll find our highs, our lows, our best players, our worst players, and the best hairstyles, of course, because it is the Super Smash.
And we finish off with our 11 of the week, as Renee will bring to you as always. What have you got for us this week, Renee? And why have you got this for us this week?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked why, because there actually is a good reason. Now, we were at the Eden Park on Saturday, and of course I was probably talking about someone's hair, most likely Michael Racon's, because it's just so beautiful. But our new friend that we made there, turned around and said, well, there's Seth Rance in the first 11 of best hair of the Super Smash, because he wears a great headband on his head. And I said, of course not. Seth Rance doesn't have any hair. But he is, Mark. He is in the first 11 of headbands and sweatbands. Are you ready?
Brilliant.
Okay, opening the batting at number 1 is, of course, Martin Crowe. At 2 is Desmond Haynes of the West Indies. At 3, Steve Smith. He put on a headband last season. Oh my goodness, what was on that head. Now, at 4 is Seth Rance. Now, I know that Seth Rance doesn't often play at 4, but that was the only gap I had left when I was reminded that Seth Rance wears the headband.
Fair enough.
And at 5, you'll like this one. It's Tom Curran. At 6, Kane Richardson. At 7, Ish Sodhi. And at 8, probably too high, but again, it was a slot. It's Chris Martin.
He's definitely too high.
I reckon we give him a go, though. Give him a go at 8.
Yeah.
And at 9, we have Adam Zampa. He, of course, debuted, really, the headband, as you will. Not a sweatband, but like a thin elastic. For the Australian team a few years ago, and I was like, what is that? And at 10, we have Stuart Broad, and in at 11, the mighty man from Otago with the bright yellow headband. It's Michael Ray.
That was a good 11. I would not be able to think of 11 people who wore a sweatband or a headband, so I think you've done a tremendous job with that one. Thank you very much.
That's the style now, apparently, is wearing headbands. Boldly.
Yeah, I'm tempted to get one for whenever I play any sport, despite the fact that I've got no hair. And then I saw Seth Rance has literally 0 hair, so I thought, well, if he can rock it, yeah, they can rock it, I'm definitely rocking it.
Yeah, you should do it.
Yeah, I think so. That is our 11 of the week. That is episode 11. That's really hard to say, episode 11. That's twice I've gone to say episode 11. Episode 11. Yeah, it's really hard to say. Thank you so much for tuning in. New for you this week, we have listened to your feedback, and we do now have a Facebook page as well. Whoa. So head on over to Back of a Length Podcast, I believe it is, on Facebook. and give us a little like. You can submit any questions through that channel, and yeah, as always, back of a length little underscore for Twitter and at back of a length on Instagram.
That is correct. As we said, we'll be all over those as the Super Smash continues this weekend. For now, though, we will leave it there. And once again, my apologies to Logan Van Beek and
Apologies. Thank you so much for tuning in, and yeah, just stay safe out there. Obviously, there's the new variant creeping through the community at the moment. It is already overseas as well, so stay safe, look after each other, be kind to each other, and have a wonderful week.